In the previous episode, we discussed that Quran describes the concept of Allah as the law that governs the entire universe. There is a creator of this law, which Quran also refers to as Allah, but that supreme entity is beyond our perception, and hence the supreme authority in this universe is the law, the Allah, which governs and controls every aspect and every process in this world. This concept of Allah changes the perception of the supreme power from being a humanized dictator to a logical and rationalist authority that systematically regulates and controls the operations of the universe. Humans are not just physical beings living in this world, but they also have another aspect which we may call soul, personality, inner self, or consciousness. It is not defined based on observable physical laws, but rather it is impacted by behavioral actions. The outcome of behavioral actions is governed by moral laws, and it impacts one's inner self or personality. The outcomes of actions in the physical world are normally observable. One can see or observe how a physical action impacts an object. However, the impact of a behavioral action on one's personality or inner self is not physically observable. Sometimes physically responsive actions indicate the impact of a behavioral action, but it is speculative or by deduction rather than hard evidence. Furthermore, the emotional bonding and social interactions between people make the assessment of such impact more challenging. Quran uses observable examples from the physical world as the witness that a permanent law exists and is enforced in the physical world. These examples explain how this law governs the outcome of every action in the physical world. It then uses the physical world example to parallel it with the moral world that is similar to the physical world. A framework of laws exists in the moral world that governs the outcomes of actions on human inner selves. It is very important to understand Quran is not a book of science, nor is its purpose to advance scientific knowledge or scientific discoveries. If Quran had been talking about advanced scientific concepts or scientific processes that were not known in the period of its original revelation, then the people of that era, who were the first audience of Quran, would have rejected it as abstract and non-understandable. Quran claims, and we have certainly made the Quran easy for remembrance. Are there any who want to learn? Chapter 54, verse 17. This means that the examples of the physical world provided in Quran are understandable or were understandable to its first audience. Therefore, Quran uses examples of the physical world and scientific processes that are observable to common people to emphasize the concept of supremacy of the law and how it maintains the structure, organization, and harmony in the observable physical world. It uses examples from the physical world to reinforce the fundamental concept that everyone is accountable for their actions, and the outcomes of their actions are according to certain permanent laws. A positive action leads to a positive outcome, and a negative action leads to a negative outcome. Quran then applies these concepts to the moral world to emphasize that, similar to the physical world, the moral world is also governed by permanent moral laws, and the outcomes of the actions or intentions are according to these laws. Again, a positive moral action leads to a positive impact on the inner self, and a negative moral action leads to a negative impact on the inner self. Quran refers the laws in both physical and moral worlds as Allah. Through the concept of Allah, Quran emphasizes the concept of the supremacy of laws in both physical and moral worlds, which are permanent and fully enforced. It frees up people from the exploitations of religious elite that enslaves masses into blind mental bondage through the concept of humanized God. It provides a logical and rational approach to follow the universal laws to bring forth the betterment in both physical and moral worlds. Humans can explore, discover, and understand laws in the physical world through observations. Quran mentions that people in general accept that the physical world is governed through the framework of the law. However, they do not accept a similar framework of law in the moral world, but rather follow their own desires, often influenced by man-made rules. Let's see a few Quranic verses in this regard. And if you ask them who created the heavens and the earth, they would surely say Allah. Say, then have you considered what you invoke beside Allah? Chapter 39, verse 38. If you ask them who created the heavens and earth and subjected the sun and the moon, they would surely say Allah. Then how are they deluded? Chapter 29, verse 61. And if you ask them who sends down rain from the sky and gives life thereby to the earth after its liveliness, they would surely say Allah. Say praise to Allah, but most of them do not reason. Chapter 29, verse 63. And if you ask them who created the heavens and earth, they would surely say Allah. Say praise is to Allah, but most of them do not know. Chapter 31, verse 25. So therefore, Quran puts its prime emphasis on the framework of the law in the moral world. It focuses on moral laws and their impact on our individual inner selves or personalities, and collectively on our society. When we read Quran, we see the majority of instructions are related to moral matters, primarily focused on those that deal with human-to-human interactions and hence directly impact the society. To further emphasize the universality of moral laws, Quran never claimed that these moral laws are unique to it, but rather mentions that they are the same as those provided in earlier scriptures. Its focus is on bringing people together, irrespective of the scripture they follow, to create a society based on common moral laws. It says, He has decreed for you the same system He ordained for Noah, and what He revealed to you, and what we ordinate to Abraham, Moses, and Jesus. You shall uphold this system and do not divide in it. Chapter 42, verse 13. Another verse. And do not argue with the people of Scripture except in a way that is best, except for those who commit injustice among them, and say, we trust in what was revealed to us and in what was revealed to you, and ours and yours law is the same. To the law we submit. Chapter 29, verse 46. In the next episode, we will discuss in detail how this new interpretation of Allah removes ambiguity, misconceptions, and irrationality associated with various concepts related to Allah in traditional Islam and provides a rational and logical understanding. Thank you.